Recipe for lazy cabbage rolls from the pan. No rolling required. Their preparation will take only 30 minutes. Melt clarified butter in the pan. Then sauté finely chopped onions in it. When they turn golden, add white cabbage cut into pieces. Pour in 100 milliliters of broth. Cover with a lid and simmer for 20 minutes. In a large bowl, prepare 500 grams of minced meat. Add 200 grams of cooked rice and sautéed cabbage with onions to it. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Mix everything thoroughly. Shape small patties in your hands. Press them well with your hands. Melt clarified butter in the pan. Then, fry the meat on each side. When it browns, add 400 milliliters of tomato passata. Add 300 milliliters of broth to the sauce. Season with a tablespoon of oregano, salt and pepper. Cover and simmer for 20 minutes. These prepared cabbage rolls taste divine. They don't require the tedious process of rolling in cabbage. They are a great idea for lunch. My family loves them. Delicious dinner with white cabbage. You won't want to eat regular meatballs anymore. Take one medium-sized cabbage. Cut it into 3-centimeter pieces from the top. Place each piece gently on a baking sheet. Season the cabbage with salt and pepper. Transfer the ground meat to a large bowl. Add 1 finely chopped onion. Crush 3 cloves of garlic and add them to the meat. Add a tablespoon of red pepper, a tablespoon of black pepper, 2 tablespoons of salt. Then sprinkle a tablespoon of nutmeg and Provençal herbs. Put on a rubber glove and mix everything thoroughly to evenly distribute the spices. Remove the glove and grease your hand with oil. Take a piece of meat and shape it into a round cutlet. It should be the diameter of 1 cabbage leaf. Then, place it on the cabbage. Repeat the process. Add 50 grams of chopped chives to the bowl. Add 30 grams of dill. Then, transfer 200 grams of natural yogurt to the bowl and 20 grams of tomato concentrate. Mix everything thoroughly until you get a uniform consistency. Spread the mixture over the cutlets with a spoon. Cover the meat completely. Place the prepared dish in an oven preheated to 180 degrees Celsius. Bake for 45 minutes. Meanwhile, make the sauce. Add 20 milliliters of milk to the natural yogurt. Add a clove of garlic and your favorite spices. Mix everything. Pour the dish with the sauce. This cabbage meatball tastes excellent. It is healthy and satisfying. My family loves it. This is the best pork chop recipe I have ever tried. It's aromatic and juicy. Cut the meat into pieces, but don't cut all the way through, creating a harmonica-like shape. Transfer it to a baking dish. In a bowl, add a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and herbes de Provence. Mix thoroughly and sprinkle this spice mixture over the meat, making sure to cover every centimeter of the pork chop. Peel 2 onions and cut them in half, then slice them into strips. Take a piece of bacon and slice it into pieces of similar thickness. Layer each piece of pork chop with onion strips, placing 2 pieces in each cut. Add the bacon as well, pressing them deep into the cuts to prevent them from fouling out during baking. Prepare up 200 grams of vegetable oil. Add a teaspoon of salt, marjoram, and sweet paprika. Mix everything thoroughly. Apply this marinade using a silicone brush, spreading it evenly over the entire pork chop. The final step is sauerkraut. It's very healthy and prepared this way. It's delicious. Place it around the roast in the baking dish, filling any empty spaces. Bake for 50 minutes in an oven, preheated to 392 degrees Fahrenheit. After this time, your meal for the whole family will be ready for an hour. The sauerkraut will be well seasoned. Pork chops are often dry, but this recipe ensures they are always flavorful and juicy. It's a perfect idea for a family dinner or a larger gathering. The meat literally melts in your mouth. Pork skewers with potatoes are a version for enthusiasts of both skewers and pork. Have you ever tried making pork skewers? Prepare about 1 kilogram of boneless pork shoulder. Cut it into pieces about 1 centimeter thick. Spread all the pieces on a cutting board and cover with plastic wrap. Take a meat mallet and gently pound all the prepared cutlets. Remove the wrap and season the meat with salt and pepper on both sides. Take 2 large potatoes and cut them into slices of medium thickness. Transfer them to a bowl. Sprinkle with salt and pepper to taste. Season with a teaspoon of sweet red paprika. Pour 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and gently mix the potatoes. Take 2 skewers for the skewers. On the cutting board, place 2 slices of potatoes next to each other. Pierce them with the skewers. 1 skewer for 1 slice of potato. Now take the first piece of meat and place it on the skewers. Press it against the potatoes. Now take 2 onion rings and place them on the meat. Place bacon on the onion. Now create a layer with potatoes and then add meat, onion, and bacon sequentially. Arrange the skewer's ingredients in alternating layers. When the skewer is too large, you can lay it on the cutting board and finish adding more layers. When all the layers are ready, the skewer will look like this. All the layers are visible. Now, prepare aluminum foil and moistened baking paper. Moist paper is more flexible and makes it easier to wrap the meat and shape it for the baking sheet. Place the skewer on the paper, wrap it, and pack it tightly in foil. Transfer the skewer to an oven-proof dish and bake in an oven preheated to 200 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. In the meantime, prepare a marinade with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, a small teaspoon of French mustard, and 2 teaspoons of honey. Mix the marinade. After an hour of baking the meat, remove it and unwrap it from the foil and paper. Brush the marinade with a brush. Do this on the entire surface. Put the skewer back in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until it turns golden brown. After baking, remove the skewer and transfer it to a plate. It looks juicy and delicious. Cut it in half lengthwise. Such a skewer is a perfect idea for a tasty dinner or an unusual supper. This is how I store chicken without a refrigerator, even for up to 12 months. It doesn't take up space in the freezer and is ready to eat. It's a ready idea for dinner. To make the jars, you need 2 kilograms of chicken drumsticks. Wash them thoroughly and clean them. Then, place them on a paper towel and dry them thoroughly. Transfer the meat to a large bowl. You will now season it. Start by adding a tablespoon of salt. Then add a tablespoon of black pepper and a tablespoon of your favorite seasoning. I chose sweet red paprika. Add a tablespoon of vinegar and mix it all. Rub the seasonings thoroughly into the drumsticks. Set the meat aside for a few minutes. Prepare a couple of onions. Slice them into 1 centimeter thick rings. Wash a bunch of parsley. Then chop it finely. Prepare sterilized jars with a large capacity. Place a layer of onions on the bottom and sprinkle them with parsley. Take a chicken drumstick and place it vertically in the jar. Add more pieces of meat, placing onions in between. Add enough drumsticks to fill the jar tightly. Close it tightly. Repeat the process with the remaining jars. Fill a large pot with water. Place 2 kitchen towels on the bottom. Put the jars with chicken in and add water. The jars must be completely submerged in water. Cook them over medium heat for 5 hours. After that time, the jars are ready. The meat cooked in this way releases its own juices. You can simply reheat this chicken in the microwave or in a pan and dinner is ready.